Coming up on Razorback 411, we'll update you on the Anton Beard situation and go one-on-one with Razorback guard Anthon Bell.
A Hogs volleyball player has come a long way to chase her dream.
And we'll find out why club sports are so popular on campus.
Razorback 411 starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Razorback 411. I'm Callie Barkwell.
And I'm Hope Burrell. Thanks for joining us.
Razorback basketball guard Anton Beard will end up playing this season after agreeing to enter a court diversion program. In July, Beard and teammates Ja'Cory Williams and Dustin Thomas were charged with passing counterfeit money at 3 Fayetteville businesses. Forgery in the state of Arkansas is considered a Class B felony that can carry up to a 20-year sentence and a $15,000 fine. All 3 players were suspended by Coach Mike Anderson. Williams ended up transferring to Middle Tennessee State, and Thomas's case is still pending. Meanwhile, if Beard completes the court diversion program, all charges will be dropped. He's also scheduled to return to the team on December 19th. For more on that, we go to JT Bush. JT?
Thanks, Callie. Today I'm joined by Bradley Board. So Bradley, despite his off-the-court issues, Anton Beard will return to the team this season. What do you think his impact will be on the team's performance?
I think it can be a very crucial factor into the team. It's obviously adding another guy to a team who's only using 8 to 9 players on the court, and especially in a system like Mike Anderson's where you're running constantly, you need as many players as you can out there. He's not a very good free throw shooter for a guard, only shooting around 63%, and then from three-point range, he's an okay shooter from 35%. My problem is last year we saw a lot of Anton Beard driving. And when he would drive, when you see a driver, you think, okay, they need to kick it out more. He averaged less than 2 assists per game last season, and so I think he needs to work on his assist game and kicking it out more. And I think that'll open shots for Bell and Hannes and make the team better.
I definitely think that and they do have shooters in Dusty and Anthon, but I think that Beard will supply a more aggressive play to the team. He had 35 steals last season, and I think that they need that aggressiveness on the court. I know Jabril is their starting point guard right now, but he's not averaging any points. But he does have 14 steals, so I don't know how they're going to balance those two during the season. Who's going to start? Who's going to be on the bench? But how do you think that Anton coming in will deal with the new freshman, his new teammates that he's never met before?
I think he's going to deal with it pretty much the exact same way he kind of dealt with it last year. He was a true freshman last year and had to deal with meeting a bunch of new guys, pretty much the entire team. And, I think it's going to be kind of the same thing. All these freshmen with Jimmy Witt and a couple walk-ons are new to the team, get to know them and just build a team chemistry and keep going through the season. And, the SEC, not the best conference, and so I think if they can get a team chemistry together, they can win some games and maybe do some damage in the SEC.
All right, well, thank you, Bradley. There you have it. So for more on the Anton Beard issue, we send it over to Maisie at the desk.
Thanks, JT. Today I'm joined with Caroline Cobb and Meredith Hayes, and we were just going to acknowledge that athletes have a huge impact on university life and society in general, and it seems that some athletes tend to think that the rules don't always apply to them. So what are y'all's perceptions on looking at the sports world and athletics today?
Well, I think that it's undeniable seeing the special treatment of athletes as far as college goes and professional leagues. And to an extent, it is agreeable with like special tutoring and everything like that, just because they are always on the clock. They have conditioning and practices. They travel for games. And so I understand needing extra treatment for tutoring and with their academics. But as far as with Anton Beard and everything, with the counterfeit legal issues, if that were to happen to any regular student, they would not be here at the University of Arkansas. And so I think that's kind of a hard situation to deal with because, yeah, he is a great asset to the Razorback basketball team, but is it worth letting them put him on the team?
Yes, I think we see a lot in the sports world, athletes who are getting away with all kinds of issues with the law. And like you said, normal human beings don't get away with things like that. And we could go down the list. You have J.T. Barrett at Ohio State, who gets a DUI and is only suspended for a game, when in the state of Ohio, I mean, it's a minimum of 6-month license suspension at that point for a first-time offender, 3 days to 6 months in jail, and a minimum of $250 fine. So to see the way that that whole issue was handled is very telling of what, society thinks of athletes in the sports world. But, you talked about Anton Beard, Ray Rice a few years ago with his domestic violence for the Ravens being dropped against his wife, dropped the charges. You've got Jameis Winston, a whole slew of issues that he's been a part of. And Johnny Manziel, I mean, that was very recent. But I think the issue here also lies in, we're talking about a lot of male athletes right now, and as a former student athlete at this university, I know that, at least for my team, we are held to very high standards off the court, not just on the court. There are a lot of obligations outside of just practice and weights and class and games and all those things that we're supposed to be a part of, like community service, and there's a lot of initiative that we're supposed to take in the community and outside of just our sport and school. And to know that a lot of the male athletes here, I mean, their coaches are required to get involved in order to get them to be a part of really anything outside of their sport and even class. I mean, class checkers, all kinds of things. And I just think that mainly we're talking about male athlete involvement as far as getting away with rules and stuff like that. So
I agree, and it's crazy to look at from on this side you're looking at, and you're so excited for the athletes, but it's just, honestly, it comes down to what's that fine line between integrity or the desire to win. But for more on the athletes' take, here's Hannah Henderson.
Thanks, Maisie. As you said, I'm here with Anthlon Bell. Anthlon, as you just heard the ladies at the roundtable discussing the special treatment of athletes, I'm curious, what's your take on that?
I really think it's just special treatment. With our busy schedule, we're moving around a lot, so we need, a little extra help. So it's just, just a little needed help for us, just because of our busy schedules.
Okay. Well, turning the focus now more on you, how do you think that the season's going so far?
It's going okay. It's not up to par like it was last year. We know we're going to be a working process, but we know we're going to reach the point to where we're a good team.
Okay. Well, yeah, as you said, people have predicted that this year is kind of a down season. What's your take on that, and how are you setting out to prove people wrong?
We're just taking it one day at a time, one game at a time. As our coach said, take each day. We won't predict in the future how everything's going to go. We know if we take each game, one game at a time, anything can hold for our own in the future.
Okay. So after your career at Arkansas is done, what do you foresee happening in your future?
Of course, I want to pursue a professional basketball career, whether it be over here in the NBA or overseas. But if not, I would like to get into somewhat training, whether it be with high school, college, or NBA, just something like that.
Awesome. So just staying around the sport.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. The Hogs are back at Bud Walton Arena tonight at 8 p.m. against Evansville. We'll send it back to Hope Burrell.
Thank you, Hannah. Still to come, we'll dig deep into club sports here at Arkansas.
But up next, the story of volleyball player Kimmy Davis, who took a long, winding road to Fayetteville. As we go to break, here's our first trivia question. Who is the all-time kills leader in Arkansas volleyball history? Was it Kim Story, Jasmine Norton, Crystal Osborne, or Meredith Hayes? The answer when we come back.
Welcome back to Razorback 411, and now the answer to the trivia question. Crystal Osborne has the most kills in Razorback volleyball history with 2,185. She was a Razorback from 1994 to 1997 and was also the first black player in Arkansas volleyball history.
Unfortunately for the Razorback volleyball team, there will be no NCAA tournament this year as its season ended on November 28th. Despite a promising start with wins over number 10 Wisconsin and number 11 Florida, the Razorbacks finished with an overall record of 17-13, including 7-11 in the SEC. One of the bright spots this season was Texas transfer Pilar Victoria. The junior earned all SEC accolades after finishing with 525 kills. The team will return next year with 4 seniors, led by Victoria. Another bright spot on the team was Anna Decino. The redshirt junior ended the season with 51 blocks, including 4 during the big win over 9th-ranked Florida. Back in October, Anna was good enough to come by the studio today. She's standing with David Bullard. David?
Thank you, Callie. As you said, that I'm here with Anna Husino. Okay, now Anna, I know you lived in places in Central America and the United States. Can you tell me everywhere you've lived and which one was your favorite?
Okay, so I was born in Puerto Rico, and that's where I lived until I was 5 years old. and my birthday's in January. I think it was that same January. We moved to Jamaica, and we lived there for 3.5 years. Then we moved to the Dominican Republic, and I lived there for 2 years, and then I moved back to Puerto Rico for a year, and then to Orlando, Florida, and that's where I did middle school and high school. So I was there from 6th grade throughout high school. And I don't know, I really liked all the places that I lived, especially the islands. I loved getting to go to the beach a lot, and that's kind of like what we would do every weekend. But I have to say my favorite is Puerto Rico, because that's home for me and that's where all my family is, and can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah. How old were you, and where did you find volleyball, and how did you get involved?
So I was 15 years old, and so even when I lived in Orlando, I think probably every year in middle school and high school, for the summers, I would go back to Puerto Rico, and sometimes my family would go with me. Sometimes I'd go and spend the summer with my aunt. So my cousins who lived in Puerto Rico, who I was staying with, they were going to a volleyball camp. And so to just kind of be with them and not be home alone, I decided to go to this volleyball camp, and I was 15. And the coach for the Puerto Rican youth national team was there one of the days, and he saw me and saw that I was tall and I could jump high, and he kind of was like, "Do you want to come practice with us on Saturday? It doesn't matter that you don't know a lot. We'll teach you. These girls are being developed too." And so I showed up for practice and kept practicing with them throughout the rest of the summer, and they kept inviting me back to come play. So I got to play with my national team.
Yes. Whenever you started getting older and better and realized that you were good enough to play at the next level, when did you decide that you were going to pursue your volleyball career in college?
Well, I was fortunate to have really supportive coaches, and everyone I got to play with would always tell me that I was capable of playing in college, that I was capable of making it really far. So I never really doubted that. I knew I started late and I had a long way to catch up, but my coaches always encouraged me and told me I could do it. So I just kind of assumed that I would play. I don't know when I decided, but I think I just naturally, it just felt like that was the next step. This was something I wanted to keep doing.
Yes. What made Arkansas your final choice?
Well, when I was visiting different schools, obviously Arkansas contacted me, and I already knew 2 of the girls who were on the team, 2 setters at the time. They also were from Puerto Rico, and they played for the youth national team, so I had met them and had been on a trip with them before. So whenever I was considering coming here, that was attractive. I already knew some people, I already had some friends. And then I visited, and it just felt like home. It was the most welcoming program, the most welcoming girls and the coaches. And I had also already met the coach, Coach Piza. He had come on a trip with us with the national team on a trip to Guatemala. So I had met him before.
Well, congratulations on making a name for yourself here at Arkansas, and thank you for joining us today. Now we're going to send it back to our co-host, Hope Burrell.
The athletes here at U of A come from many different places, but how many can say that adoption saved them from a life of little opportunity?
It just so happens that Kimmy Davis can. Meredith Hayes has her story.
Like any other student athlete, Kimmy Davis had a dream.
Being a ball girl, I watched all of them play, and I wanted to be in the red and white and just be one of them, be a teammate, be a part of the Razorback Nation.
But for this dreamer, it would take more than hard work to attain it. Kimmy was born in Malaysia to a family belonging to the indigenous people of the Badayu tribe, and had she stayed there, her life would have turned out a lot differently.
I look at it this way. If she would have grown up in Malaysia, we did get to meet one of the brothers that was at the bus stop. And he had just finished school, and he was only in 2nd grade. And that probably was as far as he was going to go in education.
I would have poor living conditions. I would probably have my own family and have a husband, have my own babies. I would have to work a lot to feed them and provide for the family.
As she grew up in her adopted family, Kimmy was surrounded by sports. Upon moving to Arkansas from Tokyo when she was 9, she found the place she would be able to grow in order to become the player she is today.
So 5th grade, she started at Boys and Girls Club in Bentonville. That was September, October, And then from there, I heard about Ozark.
Through Ozark Juniors Volleyball Club, Kimmy became a ball girl for the Razorbacks, and she had the opportunity to be trained by the associate head coach, Carol Price-Tarock. It didn't take long for her to set her sights on playing for the red and white.
At the beginning of junior year, I wrote down University of Arkansas volleyball on my mirror so I could just hold myself accountable to what my dream was. Working hard in school, working hard in practices and games, those were the factors that would lead me to being a Razorback volleyball player.
In just a short time, she's become someone this program can't see itself without.
She's just a very vibrant person. I mean, Kimmy Davis just makes you smile. Her personality and all that she brings to the team and to the floor, it's just contagious. She works very, very hard at what she does, and she wants to be good at it.
One thing is for sure, Kimmy Davis's life is marked by the blessings she claims to have received, as she's well aware of where she could be today.
Makes me grateful for what I have, having the education and extracurricular activities like volleyball. I don't think that if I was living in Malaysia with my other family, I would have the opportunity to do that.
The education major has been so impacted by her native roots that she is considering someday teaching children in indigenous areas to expand their horizons.
Just ahead, we're talking football. But up next, Kylie Coleman sits down with the captain of the U of A club hockey team. Now for our second trivia question, which of these sports is not a club sport at the U of A? Quidditch, racquetball, ballroom dancing, or underwater hockey? The answer when we come back. Now the answer to our trivia question, which sport is not a club sport here at Arkansas? The answer is D, underwater hockey. Interestingly enough, however, that is a sport. Players use snorkels, masks, and water fins to play underwater hockey.
Club sports at the University of Arkansas oftentimes fly under the radar. But did you know there are 29 active club sports ranging from water skiing to taekwondo and many in between? The University of Arkansas has several options. Club sports is a program that provides opportunities for individuals who share a common interest in a specific sport to enjoy the benefits of a group exercise. Any student enrolled in courses through the U of A is eligible to participate in club sports. Only a select few teams have tryouts such as men's ice hockey, men's soccer, men's volleyball, and baseball. The rest simply require a filled out waiver, and then you can join and be part of the team right away. To get involved or for more questions, email sclubs@uark.edu.
One of the most popular club sports on campus is hockey. Kylie Coleman goes one-on-one with the captain of the team. Kylie.
Thank you, Callie. I'm joined today with Mason Brower. Let's go ahead and get started. So with the success that the hockey team has had so far this year, do you think the title of a club sport alters the experience for y'all at all?
You know, maybe a little bit. I mean, we are in there day in and day out working just as hard as some of the NCAA sports, but I think they might get a little bit more coverage and media than we do.
Okay. And then do you believe that Title IX is discouraging athletes, or do you think it's a beneficial law?
I don't think it's discouraging. I see both sides of it. I think everybody should have a chance to play, whether that's through an athletic scholarship or what have you, or through a club sport, but I understand the business aspect of it at all. Some of the NCAA programs are trying to put a product out there and trying to make profits as well, so I understand that part of it.
Okay. And then do you think the title of a club sport turns away young athletes?
I think every athlete comes to a point in their career where they understand kind of which direction they're going to go in. With NCAA athletics, obviously that's going to be a higher talent level than the majority of club sports. And then club sports is kind of a two-pronged thing. There's going to be the club sports that are more recreational, and then there's going to be the club sports which are more competitive, and our team kind of falls in that second category.
The competitive category.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so then finally, after college, how does the experience and what opportunities are there for club sport athletes?
There are some professional opportunities, and I'll focus on hockey because obviously that's what I play. But I have had teammates and friends that have gone on to play professionally, not in the NHL, at least yet, but there are definitely some opportunities to play at a higher level of hockey.
And you're planning on continuing?
I'm thinking about it, but I'm more than likely going to end my career after college and move into the real world.
Oh, well, gotta do it eventually. Well, thank you so much, and we're going to go back to Callie now.
Another popular club sport here is men's soccer, and the reason it's a club sport and not an official sport is because of Title IX.
Title IX is a federal law enacted in 1972. It was designed for several reasons, including to give men and women an equal chance to play sports. And one of the casualties of that law is men's soccer. Sarah Gale picks up the story.
Ever wondered why the turf on Razorback Field is only torn up by women's cleats? That's because the University of Arkansas does not have an official NCAA men's soccer team. The NCAA enforces what is called Title IX, which does not require identical athletic programs for men and women, but does require equitable benefits.
So because of Title IX, soccer kind of falls by the wayside, not being one of the big sports in the NCAA. So Arkansas and a lot of SEC schools would rather allocate money and other resources to basketball and football. So
in 2005, University Recreation established a men's soccer club, providing male athletes the opportunity to play at a competitive level.
This is probably the best soccer you're going to get in Fayetteville at the collegiate level, or rather than going to just a rec field and playing with random guys on the streets.
Team captain Christian Buchel says there are disadvantages to being a club team, such as limited facilities and opportunities to train. But overall, being a club team allows the players to be independent and have more control.
We're not beholden to NCAA practicing 5 days a week at 5 a.m. It's a little bit more laid back, and we have more control over our schedule, and we can still have a social life at the same time.
The team is open to students who are pursuing undergraduate or graduate degrees at the university. For more information on joining the men's club soccer team, visit the University Recreation website. For Razorback 411, I'm Sarah Gale.
For scheduling and updates on the men's club soccer team, visit the UREC Club Sports Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook page.
Up next, an update on Razorback football. But now our final trivia question. Who holds the record for most rushing yards in a single season for the Arkansas Razorbacks? The answer after the break. Welcome back to Razorback 411. Who holds the Razorback record for most rushing yards in one season? In 2007, Darren McFadden ran for 1,830 yards and scored 16 touchdowns.
Hope, the Razorback football team has made some pretty spectacular plays this year, don't you think?
Yeah, this has probably been one of the most exciting seasons to watch, especially these last few SEC games.
Let's toss it back to JT Bush for more on the Razorback season.
Thanks, Callie. So, Bradley, the football team for the Hogs finished 7-5 this year and had some impressive wins. How do you see the program right now?
The program is actually in a very interesting spot. Obviously, started in 3-9 the first year, 6-6 last year, 7-5 this year. I think a lot of people were looking for a little bit more improvement this year. You had losses that you probably should not have had with Toledo. I think Texas A&M is a game that the Hogs should have won, as well as Mississippi State. The only game I think the Hogs really got outplayed in was Alabama. So you think about it, that's 7-5 compared to 11-1. Big difference there. Obviously, that's a top 10 ranking. Something they're going to have to work on, though, in the future is their defense. Their defense ranks last in the SEC to teams like Vanderbilt and Kentucky, who are sitting on the couch this postseason. And it's something that they're going to have to work on. They're going to have to get some new fresh faces in there. And if they can do that, I think they can possibly do some damage next year in a schedule that's going to be very difficult for them.
It definitely needs some help on the defense, but they're also losing their starting quarterback who made his case this year for moving on. How do you think they'll address that issue?
It's going to be very interesting. I think, as we all know, Arkansas is going to play in the Liberty Bowl against Kansas State. If they get to a point in the third quarter where Arkansas is up by a lot, they'll probably take Brendan Allen out and put Austin Allen in, give him some snaps, develop him, and kind of see how he goes. But you can also look at Ricky Town, who's going to come in next season. And, you know, we don't see how they're doing in practice, but Bielema does. And, you know, you're going to have to get more word on Bielema to see exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a very interesting situation playing out through the spring, and I can't wait to see who will be the starting quarterback next season.
It's not official yet, but in the event that they lose Alex Collins, how is that going to affect the team?
It's going to be very interesting, especially with the system that Bielema runs. It's a running dual-back system. You have Cody Walker, I believe, is coming back. Raleigh Williams, if he's going to return, I don't really know what the injury is. I believe he's going to return next season with after the injury he had in the Auburn game. There are a couple running back recruits that are going after that can possibly make an impact on the freshman season, their freshman season when they come in next year. There's a lot of things to work on. They're going to have a lot of people that are inexperienced, and but I think the running backs coach Jamal Singleton will get them ready, and I think the running back system will be fine.
So in their bowl game, they're playing Kansas State, who finished 6-6 this season in the Big 12. How do you think that bowl game is going to go?
I think it's going to be all Arkansas. You look at this Kansas State team, they were a team that had 3 cupcake wins early in the season, then lost 6 straight, And then their final 3 wins included teams like Kansas, Iowa State, and West Virginia. And even though the Big 12 does have some powerhouse teams, those 3 definitely aren't one of them. Kansas State also averages on defense. They give up 160 rushing yards a game. I expect Alex Collins to just go off on them, and I don't expect it to be close at all.
All right, well, thank you, Bradley. That's all we have for the football season this year. We'll send it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, JT, and also a big thank you to all our guests today and all the good people who worked hard to make this show possible. I'm Hope Burrell.
And I'm Callie Barkwell. We'll see you next time. Field Club.